Fast Travel Podcast, a virtual edition. My name is Hillary Heron, and I am your host. Today we have with us Allie Peters. She's with Cavender Auto Group. Allie, can you introduce yourself, give your title, and what that title really means?
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me.
Thank
I'm
you for
Allie
being here.
Peters, Vice President of Service with Cavender Auto Group. We have 8 stores, and so I get to work with all 8 service departments.
8 rooftops or 8 brands?
8 rooftops.
Amazing. How many technicians does that give you to oversee?
A lot.
Jeez.
And we're not even done. We've got a lot more to grow. So our larger stores have 30, 35 each. And then our smallest store has 9.
Wow. I mean, 9's still, that's still a pretty good volume. So to give people who are maybe not super in tune with the automotive industry, can you give them a little bit of an idea of what essentially a service department is?
Yes, I'd love to. So basically, when your car is broken or you want to prevent it from breaking, you come and see us.
Hopefully the latter. Hopefully you're preventing it from breaking.
Yes. Please tell your friends. It's like taking vitamins. Get your oil changed.
100%.
And so we have service advisors, which are going to be the customer facing when you come in and say hi, find out what you need. And then we have technicians in the back who are going to take care of it.
Amazing. How did you get into the automotive industry?
It was an accident. So I graduated from college as we were coming out of the recession. And so I was doing an internship in hospitality. I was at a hotel, and my cousin called me while she was doing an internship in the auto business.
Okay.
And told me I should apply. I'd stay busy and talk to lots of people. That's all I needed.
That's amazing. How'd you get into the service side? I preface this by saying, typically in the automotive industry, specifically when we're talking about the service side, it's pretty rare that you hear of women. It's becoming more common, and I think it's a great place for them. However, it's an uphill battle. So how did you get into the what we call in the industry, in the lingo, the back end?
Yes. I walked into the recruiter's office and he said, "Do you want sales or service?" And I said, "I don't know anything about either." And she said, "Do you want to talk to a lot of people and stay busy every day? Or do you want to talk to a few people and maybe have some downtime?" And I said the first, and she said service.
Awesome. And your path has led you to a couple different dealerships with a handful of different manufacturers. Give us a little idea about what that's looked like for you, that journey.
Yeah. So I started in Fort Worth, and I worked with an organization there, and I had the opportunity to start with Lexus, which is just between the two groups, Lexus and then the family that I worked for. They set us up for success. Hospitality, taking care of customers, incredible training. And so really grateful that was my first chapter. And then I moved to San Antonio and changed groups and got to go and work at BMW. And that was also a learning opportunity, a journey, very different than Lexus. But I took what I had learned and brought that here. And within that group, I did a few other brands for a short period of time, and then came back to BMW. And then now, for the last almost 3 years, I've been with this family and worked with Jaguar Land Rover, and then now work with Chevy, Cadillac, Buick, GMC, Nissan, Ford, Jaguar Land Rover.
Okay.
That's my story.
That's pretty incredible. And when you think about for me, when I think about the different brands, you think about each one has its own kind of technical aspects. And not only do they have their own technical aspects, they have their own, each manufacturer has their own kind of culture within their company, plus the culture within your company. How do you manage all of those things while still managing to like inspire and lead so many people?
I love that question. So I would say I probably start with the inspiring leading.
Mhm.
I truly believe, because of my journey, that a brand is a brand. And I
Mhm.
know that people who have worked for certain brands, they bleed certain colors and are
Mhm.
just very brand loyal. And I really appreciate that and respect that, because I have a ton of people on my team that are that way.
Mhm.
But for me, I believe that the process is the same. We take care of customers, and then the brand slides in behind that. And so that's really how I operate.
Mm.
And
Like you
I ask,
prioritize the customer experience and
yes, absolutely. And I feel like in my role, I am responsible for putting the right people into leadership at
Mhm.
each store. And those people are responsible for being the experts in the brand.
Mhm.
And so I'm going to cover the process, I'm going to cover the structure, the Cavender way, taking care of our associates and our customers. And then I'm going to defer to our manufacturer reps to help us with what areas we need to focus on, and then the leadership at my stores to become brand ambassadors.
Just in what you just said, first of all, let me just back it up a second again. Since the second I met Allie, I was so freaking impressed. She just blew me out of the water, and I was like, I have to know her. We sat next to each other at a dinner many years ago, and I was like, I have to know her. We have to be friends. I'm gonna hunt her down. And it took me a little while to find her, but I did. And it has been, downhill for her ever since. Sorry. But
No, I love it.
the way that you approach your job has always been inspiring to me. And with what you just said, you're very clear on your role and how you want to approach it. Have you always been that way, or is that something that it's taking you time to work through to get there? I know a lot of us struggle with it. So it's
Mm-hmm.
just, I think it's amazing. So I want you to tell us how you got there.
Thank you. So I would say, oh gosh, probably both, because I think for me, I've always been the people person.
Mm-hmm.
So even when I was an advisor, to this day, I'm not a car person. And I will not ashamed to say that.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it could be refrigerators and I'd still like it as much.
Yeah.
But for me, it has always been about the experience, the hospitality side, the story that that customer is going to go away from the experience with. So that part I don't believe has ever changed. Now, the evolution of Allie,
Mhm.
we talk about a lot in my life right now. There's old Allie and there's new Allie, and she's
Okay.
coming out and figuring out. And so I think for that, that's where that clarity has started to come from,
Mhm.
and that I'm not going to be derailed in how I want to lead teams
Mhm.
based on what a manufacturer says or someone from the outside says. That I'm firm and solid in. And now I'm even more bold and leaning into it.
I absolutely love that. Especially because, sorry, manufacturers that might be listening to this. There there's often a sense that they feel the need to like overreach or tell you
Mhm.
how to do your job, or oh, it should be done this way. But the reality is they aren't necessarily in the store. They're not experiencing that direct customer pain that you're experiencing.
Right.
Especially on the service side, you become like a shock absorber.
Hmm.
So how do you deal with that? I know that's got to be draining.
Yeah. I honestly, so there was this one period of life that I sold cars,
Hmm.
and I was curious how it would be, and I'm glad I tried it. And 6 months later, I came back to the fixed side because that's where my heart is. But I think for me, it was recognizing that I sincerely care about people and
Hmm.
I wanted to help people.
Now, you are the director of service for the whole group, correct?
I am, yes.
That's pretty phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you.
How are men, and I'm not necessarily within that company, but in the industry overall, how do they respond to you? And I ask because you're female, you're a little
Hmm.
bit younger,
Hmm.
and you are clear and kind, which is not something that people are very used to.
Thank you. I'm going to take that, clear and kind. I really like that. So I would say that the majority of the men I meet now
Mhm.
take me in stride and bring me along for the ride. There are still some that are a little older, like generationally, that not necessarily my organization, but people around us. I think they get surprised sometimes when I introduce myself with my title or with my responsibility. But then very quickly, I'm able to show the results of our team and the work our team has put in. And I feel like the work speaks for itself. Mm-hmm. I think I felt it more when I was an advisor and when I was a service manager. So when I was face to face with customers, oftentimes they didn't give us the respect that we truly deserved. And they spoke to us in ways that they never would have spoken to a male.
Yes.
But as I think with time, we're getting better and our industry is becoming a little more evolved. Mm-hmm. And then I think I don't really, yeah, we're still a little bit behind the rest of the world, but I'll take it for what it is. But yeah, I don't really run into it as often anymore. And I appreciated that clear and kind comment, because I feel like even when I do run into a scenario that I find a difficult man, that I am able to quickly respond in a way that makes them turn around and go, okay, nope, we're good. Let's just move forward together.
Right. Like it's professional. It's to the point. Mm-hmm. Not a lot of fluff. I mean, I find myself with the exclamation points. Do you ever end up there for like 65 exclamation points later and you're like, oh, I have to edit this email now?
So yes. And I may not ever edit them, because as you can see, 65 exclamation points would just be representative of me normally talking. So, but I do have a quick fun story. So I am the vice president of service, and then I have a partner who's the vice president of parts.
Okay.
He's a little bit older than I am. Technically, he could be my dad, so we joke about that. But he is a pretty straight to the point guy, and parts. And we've been partners for a year now. And now I see these emails every now and then come out, and they'll say let's go, with an exclamation point or two. And it's from him to the team. And so it's just so much fun, because I feel like I'm rubbing off on the excitement.
And for reference, for those of you who may not know, parts is a different world. I love all our parts people, but it's a very black and white, very structured, it's very specific. So to get those exclamation points out of somebody, that's impressive.
Yeah, it's been really fun. I really enjoy our partnership. We are officially now known as Yin and Yang.
Oh, I love it.
They will call us that. We'll call each other that. When I'm coming in a little bit behind him, I'll say, "Good morning, Yang," or our COO will yell down the hall, "Yang, are you there?" How did this happen? But it's been fun.
That's amazing. That's the dream, right? Generationally different by gender, different by the way that you approach things. Parts is a little bit more behind the curtain typically. And service is a little more upfront, which, then you have sales. It's in a whole nother top of the mountain kind of deal. Right. That's just where they thrive, and that's okay.
Everyone has their spot on the bus, right?
Exactly. How has that helped your bottom line? I mean, without being too specific, because I know, business and what, but have you noticed that having that good relationship has helped your bottom line? It's helped your team. Have you noticed that in your work?
I have, very much so. And it's just so exciting. So I can actually share that we have had 4 record months in a row. Woo! And and it was actually, So just January we had an incredible month. In February we hit more, and then March we did more, then April, and then May. And so the reality is that absolutely. I think people on my team are really engaged. I think we have really good relationships with parts and service, which is nice. It trickles down. And everyone's really competitive, but in a really friendly way. And so, yeah, we have seen a significant increase, which is really something to be, I'm just so proud of them. And it makes me very proud to be in this role.
That's phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
You have like tangible proof
Mm-hmm.
that what you're doing is working.
Yes. Yes, we
when,
do.
when you have a, I was going to say a bad word, so I'm going to too. When you have a day where you want to just quit, give up, it's not worth it. I don't want to do this. This sucks. Because they happen to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
What's your go-to to either take a pause, recharge yourself? What is it that you need to do? What's that process like for you?
So I have a few versions of it depending on the scenario. So anyone who's worked
on that spectrum.
That's right. Yeah. We've got the easy, quick, and we've got the big, bad. When I just had so many things in there, just all the different examples. But for me, it can be as simple as just having a quick moment with my partner and venting the feelings. Oftentimes I'll say something like, well, the petty part in me feels this way. And then I'll kind of get it out. And then I'll go, okay, like I'm good now. So that's a simple one. Sometimes when I need to take a moment, anyone who's worked with me has heard me say, take a lap. And that doesn't necessarily mean a physical lap. It could, but go walk the lot, get in your car and go drive somewhere, go sit under a tree. I mean, just get out and excuse yourself. So occasionally I'll take a lap. If I really am in a bad space, then I may go get a massage or have an adult beverage or dive into Netflix for a while. But, I want to say this, and I feel super cheesy and honestly feel a little guilty getting to say this, but I feel like I was made for this job. And very rarely do I have the days that make me feel that way. I felt that way often in certain chapters of my life. But even this, like we were talking about, this is what we signed up for, and the work that we put in to make sure that we have the right leadership on the teams. I have so many empowered people who have taken extreme ownership. So they normally handle a lot of the bad stuff before I have to get involved, which is awesome. And then we get to talk about the big picture. And I do have to deal with some of the really harder conversations and tougher scenarios, but going back to that old Allie, new Allie, it's I'm leaning into those, and it just is now becoming part of the day. And sometimes what 5 years ago I couldn't have even imagined going on, I get through in an hour or two of taking a lap and move on to the next.
The Cavenders are lucky to have you.
Thank you
for this. And is there more expansion coming for you?
I hope so. Yeah, we just had a conversation. I'm extremely grateful to work for this family. I feel like I can be authentically myself. I don't have to put on a professional mask. I mean, I can be professional, but I can be me too while being professional, right? Mm-hmm. That's the cool thing, is that I feel completely accepted without having to try to be put in a box, which is very nice. And then with that being said, we have, I'm relatively young, and I have a long and hopefully time in this career left. So, ultimately right now I'm vice president of service. So over time, I'd love to take on more responsibilities in the fixed ops side, take on some more things in the parts world, collision world, kind of have that full fixed ops, pie. And then ultimately down the road, we look to, we're not done at 8 stores. Don't know when that'll happen or what that looks like, but we have a growth mindset. And so then I can grow on both sides, more stores, more people, and then ultimately more responsibilities.
As you're growing, or even as you've grown through the positions, as you've taken on more leadership roles where you have more employment decision influence, are you actively recruiting women, or is it a take it as it comes, or you're actively recruiting? How do you approach that?
Yeah, so I would say I honestly, and this is kind of sounds, I feel like I'm going to take it as it comes. I really believe in putting the right person in the right spot. And I love women in this industry. But also I don't necessarily want to go seek someone out that might not be the right fit if I have a male counterpart. So that is part of what we look for. I mean, we all know, and maybe the people listening don't know yet, but women excel in this industry. And so if you find the right kind of lady, she's going to be the best for your team.
Percent.
Right. But with that being said, what's that?
If you get the right person in the right spot, like you've been talking about putting leaders or people where they're best, most effective and happy with their own performance. If you get a woman in the right spot,
right? Unstoppable. And so I would say one thing that I am extremely proud of is, so I will have been in this role for a year next month, which is wild. Woo. Right. Don't, like, we were just talking about this. But when I joined, or when I moved into this role, I had the opportunity to promote my lane manager into the director spot at JLR. So at the time it was me and it was her. And that was it on our leadership team on the service side. Now we have a service lane manager in Rockwall that is a female that we were able to promote up. We have a lane manager at Cadillac who is a female that we were able to promote up. Amazing. And then Phelan and myself. So slowly but surely we're making our way up the ranks and getting to be in some influential positions, which is really exciting. It changes the dynamic in a room. We all have different perspectives.
It changes the dynamic in a room. And as you and I know, because we're in it and we go to industry events and things and we get these statistics, the women in the household, sorry if you don't like the statistic, they're making the majority of the financial decisions. And whether that's a new purchase or that's an investment in your current car, we're also making a lot of the coordination decisions about how we get our cars in for service, how we get our families moved around, where safety takes a priority. Do you get an opportunity to focus on marketing efforts for that also?
So I would have the opportunity. I am still a marketing novice. So for me, I'm definitely open to being a part of and exploring, but I have such an incredible marketing team that really does focus on that, which helps us tremendously. But yeah, I still feel like I'm in marketing 101. I tell them, like, all I need are the cars. We'll take care of them when they get here. I just don't know how to get them here.
Right. You get them here. I'll figure the rest out.
That's right. Throw the pitch. I'll hit it.
Exactly. That goes exactly back to what you're saying, is like knowing your strengths and putting the right people in the right places. And I think we're in like a societal transition where that is more of a thing. It's less go punch the time clock or everybody hates their job or whatever it is. Do you have a great deal of turnover?
Not really. Which is a really incredible place to be. And I was just on the phone with my with my recruiter, the head of my recruiting team last night. And he said, I talked to all of your managers today just to check in, and they're all at 100% of staffing. I know.
Wow.
Yay, go us.
It's not what we're hearing in the media.
Right.
So I think it's incredible to, to call out those facts and to put those kind of feathers in your cap. Like we're doing a pretty decent job. And if we're at 100% like that, we have to have a good enough reputation that enough people want to come.
Yeah.
Work here.
And I pride myself in that. That is the thing that the moment, and I always knew I wanted to be in management. And so for me, being an advisor was kind of a step in the road. And obviously I care about people. So I wanted to take great care of my customers, but I always knew that there was more for me. And management was something where I was going to be able to take care of my teammates and team members day in, day out. And I feel that. And I feel like I have such incredible leadership at my stores that now they take care of their team members every day, which makes people want to stay. And, you know, I think the thing that is probably one of my most favorite like claim to fames is when I can go on kind of a hiring streak that all comes as referrals from people who currently work for us. And we've been
Yes.
able to do that quite a bit, which is just something to feel really, really proud of. We want to be a great place to work, and I feel like we're really building that culture.
That is something to be really, really proud of. That's it. It's a different mindset, and it takes effort on everybody's part to get there. So if you're not on the same page and there's a disconnect, it says a
Right.
lot about your communication and your team's communication or willingness to communicate.
Absolutely. And I want people, and I know that this is kind of in the world, some people believe, I don't even know how to say it. It's a word that sometimes as a bit older on a certain side, I feel like is kind of an extreme, but the reality is that I genuinely want my teams to be a safe place to work, and not a safe space where you can't, but again, like, I just want people to feel safe, because I feel like when they feel safe, when they feel secure, when they have peace of mind, then they can go and actually completely be all in. And I don't want them to have a fear of being able to share something that's going on if they need some personal time off. I mean, I want to be the first person to know, and how can I help? And I genuinely feel like I have a team that feels that way too, which is just wonderful. A wonderful feeling.
It's the dream. It really is. It's the type of leader that anybody who goes into leadership, if they're not going into it just for the paycheck,
right,
that is the type of team I think that they want to feel like that. They want to feel that connection. I'm so excited. I love to talk to you about it because I love your perspective on it.
Thank you.
Because you don't hear that a lot. There's, in the automotive industry, there's a lot of old school, we're breaking those things down and we're moving past them, but there's a lot of old school thought, like, you put your nose down, you just do it.
Okay, well, bell to bell, 6 days a week. You need an hour for lunch. Who are you? No, that's not. I want everyone to take their hour to lunch, and I want us to get close to 40 hours a week and 5 days. We can still, and we found we're even more successful when people have time away from the dealership to have a holistic life.
If you're not good for yourself, you're not good for anybody else.
I love that. Yeah.
In my opinion.
I agree.
Right.
That's why you have a Netflix marathon or a massage.
Exactly. Or both at the same, like, can I just come here while I'm watching my Netflix? That's the next level of bad day. Hopefully we never reach that pinnacle.
Yes. Yeah. If you get a text that says like Netflix with a massage emoji, you'll know something's very bad happened.
Oh boy. And cookies.
Right. And wine.
Yes. I love it. That's on this path. Have you had any mentors that have really pivotally, I think that's a word, changed the way that you view your job, or have really made like a serious impact along the way?
Honestly, I have a ton, which again, I feel like sometimes my husband jokes that I'm a purple unicorn, which makes me laugh because there's not a lot of us out there. Right. But I
get it now.
Right. Yeah. You don't see them out in the wild. I joke in that sense of, I feel grateful and almost a little guilty that I get to say I love my job. I feel cheesy, but again, grateful that I feel like I was made for this. I don't really have bad days anymore because I feel like I'm doing what I love. And then when I think about mentors along the way, I've had so many incredible people pour into me and tell me that I can do it. Now, I've had a lot of naysayers on the way too, and those are actually probably fuel me a little bit more. But as I continue to grow, having that mentorship, and there are people in my life that I met. I mean, the service manager who hired me out of college, he and I still talk. There are people along this entire journey that may be very involved for a chapter, and then time goes away, but they're still a phone call away. And so, yeah, I have so many in my head right now I'm thinking of that you're in that, like you were a part of my chapter in my trip. Seriously, I think about it. I think about, hey, I'm thinking about going to Jaguar Land Rover. Can you tell me about it? Like,
Yeah.
And then just being a part. Hey, I'm a little unhappy. I'm a lot unhappy. How do we navigate this? And hey, it was worth sticking it out because here we are now. The dream is on the other side.
Right. It's right for that tough conversation.
Yes. And you were there for that with me, so it's, but yeah, I'm really, really grateful. I've had so many people in my life just support me and encourage me and give me the tough love. And I think over time, my skin has gotten thicker, but I don't think that that's a bad thing. I had someone really close to me said that they felt like I lacked empathy and that I had clinical responses to their emotional feeling. I mean, that's the same word, but, and I sat and I thought, okay, well, I don't think that that's true, that I lack empathy. I actually genuinely care, but also I'm not taking on other people's feelings anymore. I can feel them, I can hear them, I can understand them, but I'm compartmentalized
because they're not yours.
They're not mine. And that might feel like a lack of empathy, and that is sad, but that's their journey, not my journey. So
100%. Boundaries are super important. They are super important. And the only people who have problems with boundaries are people who were intending on crossing them.
Yep. Old Allie was not very comfortable with boundaries. New Allie is all about it.
Right?
Which again, and I think that's the thing is, I think that the people who've been in my life who are willing to tell me something that is uncomfortable are the ones that I look back on and go, oh my gosh, that was a pivotal change in my life. And the people who don't want to say anything, don't want to provide any feedback, but then get frustrated by an action or a lack of action, I can't grow if I don't know. And I'm at a place where I want all the feedback that I can get, and then I get to choose to accept it or reject it and make my decisions based on that. But yeah, it's I guess mentors was like, I don't even know how we got here, but yes, my skin is getting much thicker, and I truly appreciate honesty. And we talk a lot about it here is clarity. And like you said, kindness. And
are you mentoring? Do you take on industry mentors? Is it mostly within your group? How do you approach that? Because you feel like a pay it forward kind of person to me. So if somebody helped you, it feels like you want to pass that on.
Absolutely. So I don't have any kids and I share that because not all, but most of my service managers have now dubbed my name as mom, like mom's here, or they'll, Mama Allie, and I say that because I feel like every single one of my managers is like a kid, in the sense of I love them, I care about them, they drive me crazy sometimes, but I'm also going to be there to help them through life. Yes. And I have just such great team members. So I would say, as far as mentorship goes, I don't necessarily have anyone that's like a specific I'm your mentor in that by title, but I do believe that there are tons of people on my team that I have the opportunity to teach, and that's probably one of my passions is teaching. And showing and that coaching aspect, being that like friendly hand on your back. And hey, I know you've already hit a record and you've already gotten past your goal, but I know you have another lap in you. Let's go. And so I would say my entire team in some capacity. And then I am on the advisory council for the high school, but I don't have any specific like mentorship with high schoolers necessarily. I'm just a part of how do we help bring them into our industry and prepare them for the working world.
I think that's phenomenal because it is a mentorship of sorts. And oftentimes we don't know our mentors until we're looking back. And then we're like, oh, that was a mentor moment. That was a peer mentor. That was a real mentor. That was a...
Right. Yes. I have, so the young lady that I told you was my lane manager at JLR and is now running the department. Every now and then we're either in front of each other or on the phone, and she'll say something along the lines of, oh my gosh, this is what happened. And when I said this, I stopped and said, that was Allie, like coming out of my mouth. Like that. And again, that mom idea, like, you sound like your mother. Oh, well,
Yeah.
hopefully it's good stuff.
Right.
Only
Like,
take
it's
the
all
good,
of our
leave the bad.
here, but also our greatest accomplishment.
So yeah, I get a lot of joy from what I do, and I'm really, really grateful for it.
That is phenomenal. I am so grateful for you spending some time with us today and giving us
Thank
your
you.
insight. What piece of advice would you, I have two pieces of advice. What would you leave for our listeners today? And what would you leave for a woman looking to get more involved in the automotive industry?
Okay, so I would say for the listeners, and this is something that is I have some mantras or Allieisms that are in the forefront of my mind, but I would say do it scared. So whatever it is, I think fear holds us back from doing so many incredible things. And when given an opportunity, I think just do it scared. You may not feel ready. You may not be prepared. But if you don't take that jump, you'll never know. And there are so many people around you that want your success. So when you do it scared, there are going to be people there to catch you. So that would be for the listeners.
Amen.
And then I think for the women is very similar to that, is to dive head first, just again, being authentically yourself, unapologetic for who you are and what you bring, because the perspective you bring and the experience you're going to bring to that team is going to be so different than anyone who's currently there. And you're going to be extremely successful in life if you just dive on in.
Amazing advice.
Thanks.
Do it scared is one of mine also. It's one of my, it's like a pending tattoo.
Right. Yes. I had a situation probably a month ago, and I was wrestling for a few days if I was going to go to this event. And I went back and forth and back and forth. And I went through all the pros and all the cons, and would I regret it? Should I go? All of that. And then the night before, I was talking with a friend, and I said, well, I tell everyone around me to do it scared, so I have to take my own advice. And I went, and I'm glad I went. So
amazing. I love it. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your insight. I look forward to doing this again.
Yes, I would love that. It was so fun. It's always good talking with you.
Ditto. Thank you.
Thanks.
A huge thank you to our incredible guests for sharing their stories, wisdom, and breaking down barriers with us. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. Your support means the world to me and helps spread the word about the amazing women paving the road less traveled in male-dominated industries. If you have suggestions for a future guest or topic you'd like me to explore, please reach out on social media. I'd love to hear from you. Follow me on your favorite social platform for updates and behind the scenes. Keep pushing boundaries, challenging norms, and lifting each other up.